Continuing our reading in Ragweed and Poppy by Avi, this episode is chapter 36, Poppy Leads the Way. It was Basil who led Poppy back along Long Meadow. They had not gone far when Poppy suddenly halted and gasped. "What's that?" she cried, pointing to the snakeskin. It was lying on the ground. "Old snakeskin," said Toadflax, proud of himself. "We used it to chase away a raccoon." "The raccoon I saw?" said Poppy. "Could have been," said Primrose. "It worked, too," added Daisy. "Soon as he saw the snakeskin, he ran away." "One of Ragweed's ideas," said Basil. He explained what they did. "The raccoon I saw was big," said Poppy, "and it looked angry." "The one we chased was small," said Primrose. "What happened to it?" Daisy asked Poppy. "Told you, ran off." "It's still around?" "Don't know," admitted Poppy. "Could be. Do you think we might meet it again?" Poppy asked Basil. "It's possible. I'm guessing these raccoons live around here." "Maybe," suggested Toadflax. "Since we're going back to Grey House, it'd be a good idea to use the skin the way we did before, in case we see those raccoons again, either one." "You guys good with that?" Basil asked the other mice. "That's smart," said Toadflax. With everyone eager to get back home, no one objected. "Okay," called Basil. "Back in line." Basil turned to Poppy. "It was Ragweed who led us here. Think you can guide us back to Grey House?" "Hope so," said Poppy, trying hard to remember her dance through the meadow. "Then get up in the front of the skin," said Basil. "You can see best from up there." "Sure." The mice quickly aligned themselves along the snakeskin with Poppy at the front. Basil gave the commands. "Ready, lift," he called. Up went the snakeskin. "Get under." The mice, along with Poppy, stepped beneath the skin. "Lower it." Down came the skin. Poppy at the head of the skin peeked out. She could see well. "Everyone ready?" she called. There was a chorus of, "Yes, sure, I'm glad, I'm okay." "Then let's go," Poppy called, and the mice began to walk forward, so that once again it appeared as if a snake was moving along. Going slowly, the mice traveled through Long Meadow, with Poppy choosing the route, following the way she best remembered. Though the skin was not heavy, moving along on their hind legs, front paws held high, was exhausting for the mice. "No pushing." "Slow down. You're stepping on my feet." Now and again, Poppy paused to let everyone rest. "How close are we?" "We'll be at Glitter Creek soon," Poppy said by way of encouragement. They continued on until, hearing the sounds of the rushing water, she said, "Almost there." They soon reached the banks of the creek. Thrilled to be so near home and looking for the best place to cross, Poppy continued to lead the way along the banks. They were about to reach the crossing when suddenly she stopped and called out, "Stop!" "What is it?" "Something's wrong." "What's happening?" "Shh," said Poppy. "No talking." Right in front of them on the banks of Glitter Creek, Poppy had caught sight of the mama raccoon. The other mice crept out from under the snakeskin and watched in silence. The large raccoon was gazing at the rushing water, as if knowing she would have to cross over, but uncertain how best to go forward. That one's a lot bigger than the one we saw," said Toadflax. "Right," said Basil. "Much bigger." "Scarier," said Primrose. "Shh," cautioned Poppy. She looked beyond the raccoon and saw Grey House in the distance. "Almost home," she thought, and felt a glow of excitement. A troubling notion came to her. "Is that the raccoon? Is that raccoon going to Grey House? That would not be good. We need to get that animal to go somewhere else." It was Candytuft who said the obvious. That raccoon is blocking our way. Is it going to Gray House? Asked Daisy. I think, suggested Toadflax. We should use the snakeskin to chase it away like we did the other time. Basil studied the raccoon. Good idea. If we scare it from here, most likely it'll run upstream. Once it goes, we'll be free to get across. That'd be good, agreed Primrose. Okay, we'll try, said Poppy. Basil gave the commands. Up! Down! Once again, the mice were within the skin. This time, suggested Basil, I think we should make some noise, hiss like a snake. That'll make sure the raccoon will hear us. The mice began to hiss as loud as they could. Go, called Poppy. The mice inside the skin, with Poppy in the lead, began to move. The raccoon was still staring into the water when she heard the hissing mice. She looked back and saw what appeared to be a large snake coming right at her. Taken by surprise and altogether alarmed, she leaped directly away, landing in the creek waters. Sputtering and thrashing, she was big enough to touch creek bottom. She splashed across. Once on the other side, thoroughly soaked, the raccoon looked back, saw the snake was still there, and began to run in the direction of Gray House. Oh dear, said Poppy, watching the raccoon rush across the creek and then keep going. It's going in the worst possible direction, Gray House. What do we do now? Asked Daisy. It was Basil who said, That raccoon sure doesn't like snakes. If we can get the snake skin across, we can keep using it to make sure it doesn't go into Gray House. It's not going to be easy, said Poppy. The mice gathered at the water's edge. Let's get across, said Basil. I'll go first, said Toadflax. The mice formed a line, and this time, while not inside the snakeskin, each one held an edge of it with a paw. Toadflax took a leap. While he wobbled some, holding onto the skin steadied him and kept him from falling. Poppy followed. The other mice came too, the skin both balancing and pulling them along until they had reached the far side, the snake skin intact. Good job, said Basil. Back under the skin, Poppy, you might as well stay up front. Keep watching for the raccoon. If we see it, we can try to keep it away from Gray House. Okay, here we go. Wait! The call came from the other side of the creek. The mice in the snakeskin threw it off and looked back. On the far side of the creek was Candytuft. What are you doing there? Cried Basil. I had to go behind some bushes. Never mind, said Racket. Come across. Candytuft curled her tail about her toes. I don't think I can. You have to, said Poppy. We need to get home fast. The other mice gathered at the creek's edge and watched. It's not hard, called Daisy. Candytuft came to the water's bank. She studied the rocks, made her front paws into fists, then jumped. One rock, two rocks, and the third rock. There she stopped. Eyes wide with fear, she looked about. I'm scared, she said. It was Toadflax who jumped back out over the creek rocks, got near Candytuft, and held out a paw. Hold on. Candytuft gripped the paw, and helped by Toadflax, the two went across the rocks until they reached the other side. Everybody okay? Said Basil. Yep. Back under the skin. Once again, the mice moved, but this time they were heading through the orchard directly toward Gray House. Thank goodness, thought Poppy. Almost home and everybody's safe. And that's the end of chapter 36.